Let's get ready to rumble!
Hello and welcome to Netflix vs. Cinema, the podcast that is rejoicing in the return of our good old friend, cinema, along with all of the joy and all of the frustration that brings, like viewing times. So, my name is Tosin. I'm the host. I'm in the UK, at a small town called Bromsgrove in Worcestershire, and joining me on a small island off the coast of the UK, off the south coast of the UK, are Sharon Bollen.
Hello.
And Shaun Harris.
Hiya.
Yes, so we were talking about cinemas being back. We have been going on. We've had a week off, and in that week, that was the week that cinemas came back. Some of us managed to get there, and some of us didn't quite manage it. Isn't that right, Sharon?
That's right. I just didn't quite manage it. The road to hell is paved with good intentions, and my road to hell was I had intended to go to the cinema about 3 times. I just never made it.
So can you tell us about the other things that kept you back from a beautiful reunion?
Well, I gave my nephew a driving lesson. I took him out in my car and we went driving around a very quiet car park because he would just basically be slightly alarmed by anyone passing. So if another car came into view or a person or, heaven forbid, a child or a dog, it was just like, oh, no.
Yeah.
And so we took a while to find a really, really quiet, isolated car park, which we found. And that was one evening when I didn't manage to get out. Another one was, just one of my mum's appointments. Another one was coming home from work late. So, everything seemed to conspire against me going to the cinema this week.
Yeah, you see, now this is the thing, because obviously we have been looking forward to cinema coming back, and we have been like, no, come back cinema, all is forgiven. And then you remember and then it shows it's like a rude awakening that you remember, oh, hang on a second, oh yeah, timings. I've had like a year of being a condition that I can watch anything I want to watch whenever I want to watch it. But now I actually have to look at the times and all that. And I remember sitting down and trying to sort of do some calendar juggling of, okay, if I'm going to go see a film, I could go, if I saw that, how long does the film last? If I could I get out in time for that? And if I went to play tennis then, could I? And I just trying to figure out, and I was like, oh, I haven't done this for a while. And I remember I will take cinema because cinema's back, but this is a little bit annoying. But speaking about that, and the man who would let none of that stand in his way, didn't care about nephews needing driving lessons, didn't care about times and changing nappies, didn't care about any of that, is Shaun. And Shaun, you have gone proper beast mode over the last 2 weeks, haven't you?
Yes, I have indeed. I've gone absolutely crackers, really. I've sort of caught a 4:00 performance, come out, had a Kentucky Fried Chicken and gone back in. So I've done 2 double bills. So so I've really enjoyed my time, shall we say. And as I say, lucky enough, the weather's not been terrific like it has today. Today's lovely. So
yeah,
but it still was odd. So if I watch a 4:00, 4:10 performance, I'd come out and it was still light and still quite nice and sunny.
Yeah.
And then I'd go in again sort of afterwards after wandering around for a bit. So yeah, it's been emotional. It's been emotional.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. What was it? Because I remember the last film that both of us saw in the cinema before this whole was Wonder Woman 1984.
Yeah.
And that was in Christmas 2020. That we both saw that before the cinemas went on lockdown again. So I think that time we both spoke about it being quite an emotional experience, being back in the cinema and being like, oh my God, I can't believe we've missed this. So talk us through how emotional it was for you when you got back in this time.
Okay, well, I think it was more excitement. Because I would have been tempted because the actual Cineworld here didn't open until the Wednesday the 19th. It didn't open on the 17th. It didn't open until the 19th. And I was so tempted to see Kong, but I sort of had half promised some people that I would hold off. I saw the Facebook pictures.
Yeah. You and friends of the show, Joe and Happy John.
Yeah. So I went. The first one I saw was Nomadland. So, which is what I'll probably do. That was the first one, and then so that was the first day, and then I thought, oh, and then I went to see after that. I went to see Judas and the Black Messiah.
Oh, Judas and the Black Messiah.
So I came out of that's another one. Yeah, I forgot about that. So I came out of the Nomadland, and I actually borrowed a Meerkat code, and I went with Sherry, who's like the Chinese assistant, Joe's Chinese assistant.
Oh yeah, Joe's Chinese teacher.
And then we came out, and I bought some chicken, and we sat down by the river for 10 minutes, and I called my mother and made a few phone calls, and then went back in. She said, "Oh yeah, I'll come in." I said, "Well, you probably have to pay, because I don't know how many times can you use those Meerkat codes."
I think you can use the Meerkat codes only once.
Yes, once, I think.
Yeah, one use only. That's what I thought. So anyway, she said, "Oh, I'll come and see it." So we went to see.
For those who don't know, a Meerkat code is a code that you can get if you use a certain company to buy insurance, and it gives you 2-for-1 tickets.
Mm. So and then that's it. Yeah, Judas and the Black Messiah. I was trying to think of what ones, because the trouble is, if you watch too many and you have that little gap, you forget, don't you?
Yeah.
You've done that about things you've watched. So yeah, so we went to see that. So that was the opening, and I came out, and I guess I still got in fairly early. I got in about 10:30, I guess, and I was like, oh, that was emotional. That was so nice.
That was the best day ever.
What am I going to go and see tomorrow? Oh, I know. I'm go and see.
All right, cool. So we will. So that means that now, with the return of cinema, we can have the return of our usual format on Netflix versus Cinema, in which we are going to take 3 things that we've seen at the cinema this week, rate them out of 5. 3 things that we've seen on at home this week, rate them out of 5, and then decide where it is that our money has been best spent. Now, because this film was just such a big thing, and it was probably the biggest draw, and you had Shaun getting all, oh my God, I gotta go see this. I feel like there's only one place for us to start this week, and that is in the cinema. Welcome back, cinema. We've missed you. We love you. Although the viewing times have been annoying. We've missed you. We loved you. And now we're going to kick off with Godzilla versus Kong, a film that Shaun has been waiting for probably for about a year to watch.
That's for sure. I've been, and I tried to avoid all spoilers, everything else. So
yep. Okay, so as we go, we're going to give you 7 minutes, and you're so short. Your 7 minutes to talk about Godzilla versus Kong start now.
Okay, so this is I mean, people are aware of the other stuff of the Godzilla and the Skull Island. So basically, they've been monitoring Kong on Skull Island, but it's breaking apart. It's breaking apart, and they decide that they're going to have to move him. And Godzilla just is about causing havoc everywhere. He's just like going nuts. And because these are 2 titans, he is obviously they're like as from Kong. Right, yeah. So they're titans, but they're rivals. I've got it. They're rivals. So they're rivals that they want to be the apex.
The apex predator.
So they put Kong on the ship, and there's a bit of a battle. It's in the trailer, that bit, and then it sort of all goes a bit quiet, and they come up with this Hollow Earth theory.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. I was just going to ask one question. I was like, this is a film called Godzilla versus Kong. So you're trying to tell me they tried to put some storyline in here?
Yeah. Not too much, but yeah.
Because I'm kind of like, I did not come here for the storyline. I don't need you to give me an excuse why Godzilla is going to be versus Kong.
Yeah.
Give me what you promised. I mean,
okay, yeah. So let's get straight to it then. Forget all that other stuff, the story, because the point is you want to see Kong. You want to see monsters fighting each other.
Exactly.
Whereas the King of Monsters was very much lots of people around, and those people turn up in cameo roles, But
so the previous film, Godzilla King of Monsters.
Yes.
Which we complained was too many humans trying to make us care about humans when all we wanted to see was Godzilla.
That's it.
And Mothra and all those guys.
Yeah. So they got that right. But anyway, basically, the story is there's sort of a bit of a stalemate between Kong and Godzilla, and then there's this other creature that's been like manufactured, shall we say? So I expect a lot of people have seen it now. So do you reckon I could say what it is?
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. Yeah. So
essentially we've come to watch a wrestling match. We don't care.
Okay. So anyway, so Godzilla and Kong, they've had their ding dongs. They've had like 3 fights. So it's like they've had like 3 battles where.
So they keep fighting, stopping,
they keep
fighting, stopping.
Things happen. They things disappear, and then they get together and they get together again. But then there's this Mecha Godzilla, which is he's controlled by the son of the Japanese guy who was in the first one. Who said,
the Ken Watanabe character who was so memorable. I can't remember his name.
That's it. So they've created this mechanical beast, and they have to use it through the DNA of a skull of King Ghidorah. So, and basically things go a bit wrong. So, Kong, the last fight between Kong and Godzilla, he's a little bit injured, but then this Mecha Godzilla comes out and.
Okay, cool. I think now we're getting on to that's too spoilery. That's too.
Right, that's too spoilery. Okay.
That's too. But Shaun, what I'll ask you is, seeing as we showed up for the fight, we showed up for the throwdown, what are the fights like? Because this film, if you're going to call it Godzilla vs. Kong, it's going to rise and fall on the quality of the throwdowns. So what were the fights like?
The fights were, they were pretty spectacular. I mean, the film really, the story's a bit daft, but the action sequences were just what we wanted to see. They were just like, and the ultimate fight was just like, I got really excited about. In fact, I'm probably sort of going to time it so that I can go in and watch that end fight like multiple times, because I don't think I'll ever get tired of that. Yeah, it was just what I wanted. Just what I wanted. I was really excited. I was getting, that's nice. And it was a proper. Well, all the fights were really, really good, I thought. And they were pretty brutal. And I think it was cleverly done with Kong, because I always wondered with Godzilla, because he's got that radioactive breath, that he lets out, and I thought, I thought, well, how's Kong going to deal with that? But the way he deals with it is really, really pretty damn good. But, and it's clever. I'm like, so they've given that some thought, because I was wondering what they were going to do.
So
with that,
they gave some thought to make it an actual fight.
Yeah. Because otherwise he just used that breath of his to vaporize Kong, like he did with the Muto in the first
Godzilla movie. Yeah.
So yes. So that's pretty good. But the one thing in this Hollow Earth thing, there is a Hollow Earth, and they find this. It's quite funny. There's like obviously it would have been some of Kong's ancestors, and it's like a big throne room.
Oh, and
yeah. There's one bit where Kong actually sits on this like big throne, like a proper king. And sort of there, and the old music goes. So that was a good scene. I enjoyed that scene. And there's a little girl in it who can communicate with Kong, and seems absolutely brilliant. She can communicate with him, and she sort of says, "Oh, enemy, not enemy," and she sort of more or less. So he's got a bit of a affinity. Well, in fact, a huge affinity with her. If it wasn't for her, it would have been more mayhem than what there was. But cool. It's a terrific. I really, really enjoyed it. Actually, to be fair, it was great. It wasn't a disappointment in any way, shape, or form.
Oh no, okay, that's good, because obviously they've been trying to do this MonsterVerse, which is going to be like this shared. Essentially, they're trying to do like a shared monster universe, because obviously since Marvel did their cinematic universe, everybo's trying to do shared universes, and so they were trying to do a shared universe with this thing. And Godzilla was all right. The first Godzilla movie was all right. I think Kong Skull Island was all right. Godzilla King of Monsters it was kind of like this MonsterVerse thing might not be that good an idea, but it sounds like what you're saying, they've managed to bring us back on track with it. I mean, so much so I know that the guy who directed is Adam Wingard, who is kind of like the darling. He's kind of like a horror darling at the moment. So Adam Wingard, they're trying to get him to like, quick, come do another one. They want him to do a fourth another MonsterVerse movie, because apparently he nailed it with this one.
Yeah, I think it's done really, really well, isn't it? Worldwide, I think it's done.
It has done, because it was one of the few films that was actually released in cinemas during the lockdown in the last year, and so with it being released, they're saying that it's actually a bona fide hit during this lockdown period.
Do you have to have seen the previous films to be able to appreciate this one?
I don't think so. I really don't think so. Not
I mean,
really.
is there like a continuity? If you didn't see the last one, would you go, oh, I wonder how Kong got to be where he is and how Godzilla got to be where he is?
No, I probably don't think so too much. Really, it's just a nice little slugfest. You wouldn't. I mean, it would be good to see them because you sort of a little bit invested in it. But apart from that.
It's a nice little slugfest, as it should be.
As it
should be.
So yeah, let's hope there's more. Let's hope there's more now.
None of this wheeling Bryan Cranston out and Aaron Taylor Johnson and trying to give me this whole they're father and son linked by a shared tragedy. Who cares?
Who cares? Yeah.
Godzilla, Kong, fight. That's what we want.
I'll tell you what, Sharon, you need to come and see this with me. It's a good fun film. Good fun film.
It's one of the ones I had intended to try to catch, but yes, the timings were just not in my favour.
Okay. Well, give us a shout. Give us a shout when timings are in your favour, and I'll come with you.
All right, cool. And now we go from cinema to Netflix and friends at home to see what we have. And Sharon, you have sat down here and heard me complaining about people trying to make us care about humans when there's monsters to watch fighting. And so thank you. So we'll give you 7 minutes. Tell us what it is that you are bringing forward to the table that you have seen at home this week.
Well, I saw a series on Sky. We finally got our Sky returned to us. We didn't have it for 2 months because our box broke or something, and so they sort of gave us lots of freebies. And so one of the freebies is Sky Q box. So we've been
nice.
Malarkey. So yes, I watched a series called The Nevers. Now this is Joss Whedon's latest sort of incarnation.
Yeah.
Though he isn't incarnated in it, but it's his latest sort of gift to the world. He is of like Buffy fame, and he's later done a lot of stuff with the Marvel universe.
And the Avengers,
his reputation's taken a bit of a dent because he was accused of sort of not being very nice to people. But
on the set of Justice League, that film again.
So creatively, though, this is his latest sort of offering, and basically the Nevers, it's set in Victorian London, the end of Victoria's reign, so the 1890s, and there's all these different people. The scene opens with all these different people looking up at the sky one day when this strange object passes through the sky, and these sort of beads of light basically start falling from the sky and touching people, and you see it sort of like flare on their skin and then just disappear. People don't think anything of it until a couple of years later, over time, people start manifesting different abilities. And these people have become known as the touched because they were sort of touched by this, whatever this was. Yeah. And it's principally women and children who have been affected because they were the ones who were sort of out in the daytime when this happened. They looked up and it touched them. And so some people have the ability of seeing electricity. Mm-hmm. Others have super strength, or they get very tall. Their breath can create glass. They can breathe on something and it will turn it into glass. Others, there's just a whole myriad of these sort of the way this is manifested.
So do they essentially become a Victorian Avengers?
Yeah, they have they have these different abilities. But this being sort of pre-suffrage London, these women have no rights. They're principally women. And people are trying basically to sort of create laws in which these women are controlled. And so they have created this orphanage where people can flee, a sanctuary where all the touched can flee, and they sort of form this sort of commune together. So they're living together. And then as the story unfolds, you begin to understand a little bit more about why people are trying to control them and then what abilities they have. And there's this central character who basically is the person who runs this orphanage, this asylum, this sanctuary. And you see her story unfold as to why she has this what her ability is. And it turns out, there's not a great big spoiler because you find out quite soon on in the series, the thing that gave them this gift is actually an alien life form. And it's hidden underneath sort of subterranean London. And you find a little bit about the history of what this life form is as the series goes on, and then you get a huge, I won't tell you anything about it, but you get a huge shock in one of the episodes where you're going, is this still the same series? What's happening? And then everything is turned on its head, and at the end of the series you see the whole previous sort of 5 or 6 episodes in a completely different light.
Oh.
So what you think is like a League of Extraordinary Gentlemen type thing is suddenly just flipped completely at the end. And so you then have to revisit everything you've seen before.
Okay, so you see, I quite like one of those things when it's executed properly. And from what you say, judging by the tone in your voice, it sounds like it was executed properly.
Yes, it was done very well. It's obviously like all modern television, it's sort of quite adult. So there are scenes of a sexual nature. There's quite a lot of effing and jeffing.
Well, it is an HBO show, yeah. So.
Yeah. And so you're thinking, I'm not quite sure that ladies in that time would have been comfortable as being that sweary, because even like the religious ones are suddenly, they're wearing their crosses and talking about, Jesus, Mary and Joseph, and then they're effing and jeffing as well. And thinking, there's a little bit of a disconnect between what you're trying to tell me this character is and actually what's coming out of their mouth. So there's a few anachronistic aspects of it, but it's this is the world of modern television, so that is what it is. But yeah, there's some interesting themes in it, some interesting ideas. So yeah, right. I would certainly say check out The Nevers.
All right, cool. Actually, I just realized, Shaun, we didn't actually give Godzilla vs Kong a rating.
No, we didn't. I was waiting for that one. I thought I'd be patient. Okay,
so quickly, what was the rating? Before I ask what the rating for The Nevers is, what's the rating for?
Okay, the ratings for Godzilla, I guess for most people would probably be a 4 for the excitement factor. For me personally, it's a personal one. I would give it a 5 for my pure enjoyment of it.
Okay, so a 5 for Godzilla vs Kong. That's a 5 from Shaun for Godzilla vs Kong. So I was just kind of like, you can tell we haven't done this for a while. It's like, cinema's back! Yay! We don't care whether the film's good or bad. It's back. All right, cool. So Sharon, you were saying.
Yeah, so I would recommend it. I think it was enjoyable. It's quite compact. It's 6 episodes, I believe. And they're all about an hour long, maybe just under. So, yeah, it's certainly something that you can watch in a weekend.
All right, so how many stars?
I would give it 4 stars.
Give it a 4 out of 5.
Yeah, there's enough humour in it. There's enough action in it. Some good fighting, which, again, will make sense at the end of the series. At the beginning, you're thinking, how did you get those skills? And then you understand later.
There's a reason. So, it's not just a convenient plot hole.
Yeah.
Okay, so and I know it is very, very problematic at the moment to sort of praise Joss Whedon because of the allegations that have come up for him. Not even just on the set of Justice League, but even going all the way back to his time on Buffy and some stuff that he said with Charisma Carpenter. And there's been a whole bunch of people who've come out against him and talk about his. But it sounds like there are quite a few of his hallmarks in here. It sounds like it has the witty sort of dialogue, the sort of strong female-led characters and all that kind of stuff, the good fight scenes, and also like a big sort of rug pull that you look at and you don't hate. Yeah,
you don't. Yes, there's stuff you didn't see coming. So yeah, and there's a good cast. I won't go through the cast now, but yeah, a good cast. So I would and some good cameos. I would. Yeah, to me it was. I try not to. I haven't read much about the allegations about Joss Whedon, so I try not to let that particularly influence my.
I don't even know what they are. Stuff. I don't even know what they are. I have no idea what they are. I'm not keeping up to date.
Yeah,
is it the normal sort of stuff?
No, it isn't. Okay, let's put it. It isn't Harvey Weinstein. It isn't.
Right, okay, cool.
It isn't Harvey Weinstein. But there's people saying that he was abusive. There's that he.
Like a bully sort of thing,
essentially being a bully, and people saying that he threatened to end their careers, like Charisma Carpenter, who played Cordelia in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, saying that he threatened to end my career if I got fat, and then after I got pregnant, he kicked me off his show, and Ray Fisher, who plays Cyborg, I think some of the stuff that Ray Fisher says, I'm kind of like, okay, dude, that's a bit of a reach. And like he said that he essentially cut out all the black characters from when he got a hold of Justice League. He cut out all the black characters, and I'm like, okay. And but he also says that he was really, really abusive on the set, and all. So that there's a lot of stuff about that, and it's being sorted out at the moment. So and there will be people who will come down on either side. I'm just kind of like, well, unfortunately, not all the stuff I love comes from people who I totally agree with all the time. But if it did, how boring would that be? All right, cool. So that is 5 stars for cinema. 4 stars. I mean, purely just because cinema's back. I think we might just sort of say cinema wins. Okay, spoiler alert. I think cinema might win this week. just so he doesn't get angry and leave us again. I think cinema might win this week. So
we'll let him have this one.
We'll not go back to cinema. We'll go back to cinema, and I'm going to take this up. And I saw a film in the cinema, the first one I saw back, which is Those Who Wish Me Dead. And I had a similar problem with you, Sharon, where I was sitting down going, okay, what can I watch? When can I watch it? Because I've got a 7-month baby at home, and every now and then I'm like, yay, I'm going to have to go play tennis. And my wife's like, okay, fine, see you later. I'm going off to the cinema. Fine, see you later. And I was like, I better not try my luck. I think I can get away with one film a week. That's about it. So I had a problem with this, but eventually managed to get an 8:30, 5 p.m. time to see it after my tennis game. Rushed down to Redditch, to the View Cinema in Redditch, managed to watch the film. And this is Those Who Wish Me Dead, which is Angelina Jolie. It's based on a book, and it's essentially this film kicks off with smoke jumpers, who are people in America, like they're like firemen who are specially trained to fight forest fires. And you see them just falling through the air like out of, like they're parachuting over this fire to go fight it. And you get to meet all these different characters. You find out that Angelina Jolie is part of this group. She's part of this group. There was some tragedy that happened in the past, because in this kind of films, there's always a tragedy that happened in the past that haunts the hero and makes them wake up in a cold sweat at night and all that. And so you get introduced to those characters, but then you also get introduced to Nicholas Hoult and Aidan Gillen, who play a pair of assassins. And you get introduced to them, and you can see that they've been given this job to do, where they go to somebody's house. Shortly after they leave, the house explodes, and then another guy with his son sees this on the news and gets his son in his car and just legs it. He just legs it, and as he's going on, he's telling his son, "Look, I'm going to write this down for you. I'm going to write this down for you. Find somebody you trust and hand this to them if anything happens to me." It shouldn't really come as a shock, because it shows up in the trailer that something happens to him, and this son ends up meeting Angelina Jolie, and so it turns out that these two assassins, for some reason, are after the boy, and which means that then they end up with Angelina Jolie, who is trying to save them. Her character is called Hannah. Sorry. And that is basically the setup. And this is kind of like one of these small muscular thrillers that kind of it does enough setting up of the different people and the different characters and the different players to justify the action that comes afterwards. It goes, I'm just going to put that, I'm going to put that. A forest fire starts. Why? Because those guys did that. Okay, cool. Now let's go. And so, and then that's it. And it's one of these films where there were bits of it where I was expecting, okay, now it's going to, oh, wait, no. Judging by what I know about story structure and the story they're telling me, this is round about the end of the film. Oh, that's all that there is. And I actually there was a bit of me that kind of really enjoyed the fact that they were not trying to make this thing bigger than it was, or make it like more important than it actually was. They were just telling you, this is our story, this is what we want to do, boom. I mean, from what I've read of the book that it's based on, there's more in the book, but they sort of whittled it down and put it on it. But it's directed by Taylor Sheridan, who wrote Sicario. He wrote Sicario and Wind River, and he's like known as, and I think I might need to check this. I think he might have written Hell or High Water. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so
possibly, yeah.
I think he might have written it, but it's directed by him. But that's what I thought. I mean, apart from the fact that, I mean, I think Angelina Jolie, it's great seeing her, because I haven't seen her on screen for a while. I think she's actually quite good. She's quite, this is a kind of character, a bit like a character in Salt, that you kind of feel almost, I was asking myself, I was like, was this character originally a man that she said, I want to play this character, so they made it a woman? Because there's weird things like she's the only woman on the entire team of firefighters. She's the only woman you see doing that job. And once you see something like that, it's just kind of like, this seems a bit filmy to me. It seems a bit filmy to me. And also, I just feel like the problem I find with Angelina Jolie is that she looks like a film star. She looks like a film star. And so when you look at her, and I'm not even entirely sure what I mean by that, but it's just this sort of unknowable, untangible. She looks like a film star. So when you try and have her be like this sort of woman of the woods who fights fires for a living, there's a bit, it keeps pulling you out of the film because they haven't really done much to try and make her look as if that's like, it's not like what's her name, Cameron Diaz and Being John Malkovich, who they did a lot to make Cameron Diaz not look like a film star in that film. This film is just kind of like, yeah, it's Angelina Jolie, she's fighting fires. You're like, wait a second. I'm sure, I'm sure that someone who looks like Angelina Jolie could decide that she wants to fight fires for a living. I'm not saying anything against that. That could happen. But if you're going to do that, why is there no other women around? There's all these things about it that just sort of almost kind of keep reminding me I'm watching a film. Although I have to say, the guy who plays the kid is really, really good. His first name is Finn something. I can't remember his last name. But I think the guy... Yeah. I think the kid actor, brilliant. I saw him. He was in I'm Not Okay With This, a TV series I reviewed a while back, and he is really, really good. I think the actress, you have John Bernthal in it. They're great. The woman who plays his wife, I was going to look up her name. I've seen her in another TV show in Happy, but there's bits where it flips convention on its head. There's bits where you think, okay, this guy, in this sort of films, when you're introduced to somebody who's a cop, who's a good upstanding cop, he has a wife at home. Oh, she's pregnant, 6 months with their kid. There's all these things that are being set up, and you expect a certain type of thing to happen. And I love the way that they turned it on the head in this film. And okay, I'll stop that. I have 1 minute left. And Shaun, you've seen this as well. What did you want to say?
I have seen this film. Now, right, okay, I'm going to say this. I really, really got into the film to start with. I really totally, it was all like totally, but I thought, yeah, brilliant. Okay, I can see that when, you know, like you mentioned about the house exploding. I could see how that might work. Yeah. And you've got these two professional assassins, and then, I don't know, maybe 25 minutes into the film, they just lose all the coolness that they had, all the, I'm just, you know, absolutely plaster this vehicle. And I'm like, why would you suddenly be stupid? And so basically that was the big issue I had with it. I thought, this is a good film, this is great, I like where this is going, I like where this is going. And then it was like, because these guys that had been so thoughtful, so careful through the first 20 minutes, you know, about how they did things, suddenly just lose all sense of, and the stuff they do is ridiculous. They would do stuff they wouldn't do. They just wouldn't do it, you know. And it's like, oh wow. So to me, this was first 20 minutes, absolutely, really, really first class. The rest of the film, I had quite a few issues with, but I agree with you with the lad, the actor. He was really, really good, and I actually enjoyed Nicholas Hoult in this. He was good. Yeah, he was good, but you know, I mean, sorry. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you're saying.
And, they're just like, oh, why would you do that? You're professional people that have been so absolutely meticulous. Why'd you suddenly go like, you know, full on ridiculous?
I agree with you, because I think as the film was going on, there were actually bits where I was looking at going, okay, why would you do? There were bits where I was like, Shaun will not like that. I'm like, and I was looking going, that wasn't the best decision to make. But I like the fact that the film kind of comes up with a reason why they would do these things. And I love the fact that the reason comes down to bureaucracy and the idea that even world-class assassins still have bureaucracy to have to deal with. They still have red tape they have to go through. And the reason why they end up, like, the reason the film gives as to why they have to essentially go away, because if they don't go away from the way they usually do it, this film is going to be 5 minutes long because there will be no story whatsoever. And the reason why they go away from the way they usually do things is bureaucracy. And one of the assassins spends the whole film complaining about the bureaucracy and saying, oh, we should have had two things, we should have had this, we should have had this, why didn't they give us this, and now we're here, I hate this place. and I like the so there were bits of it that I liked. There were bits where it becomes
farcical.
Yeah. Towards the end, it becomes. There are bits of it that becomes a bit convenient. That, like, okay, bearing in mind that this whole film, the backdrop of this film is a forest fire, and there's bits where they go, "We're going to go in that direction. Are you sure? Yes, we're going to go in that direction." And then And then 5 minutes, they go in that direction because I think it creates a really good dramatic backdrop for something. But then something happens after that you go, hang on. No, you would never have gone in that direction because it was a stupid idea to go in that direction because of what has just happened. So yeah, but anyway, I quite liked it. I mean, being back in the cinema was great. Angelina Jolie, cool, good. It's a good thriller that has a couple of dumb things happen to it. I would give it a 3 out of 5.
And I would agree with you on that, Toes. Totally agree with you. 3 out of 5. It would have got, if it had carried on the way it started, it might have got a bit more, but it's just 3 out of 5. Yeah. I mean, it was watchable, and I had me huffy bits, but I was okay.
Okay, cool. Let's get this thing moving. So, Shaun, we're going back to you. We're going back to you on what you saw at cinema. No, what you saw at home this week.
Oh, at home, yeah. Well, I managed to watch Love, Death and Robots. So the second
Love, Death and
series.
Robots season 2. Yeah, I saw that as well.
Oh, good. I'm really pleased about that. So
Love, Death and Robots. Obviously, it's an anthology series. Which usually, do you want to explain what the whole show is about, Shaun?
Okay, basically, it's an animated series. It's an animated series, an anthology of different sort of episodes. They're quite short episodes, and they're animated in different ways. So, some is your traditional animation, some your modern 3D, others is so I think they call it rotoscoping, don't they? Where it's like I think like the games. Like the games, they have the real action games now. I
think it's more motion capture.
Motion capture, yeah.
So it's done a bit more like Avatar.
That's it. In fact, I think that was there was a couple like that, which I don't know if I like or not. It's really difficult to say whether I like.
There's a couple of them in this season that I was seriously looking at and going, is this animated?
Exactly, Toast, exactly. I agree with you. I thought this looks like live action to me.
I was kind of like, is this? Yeah. Because it's usually it used to be like, if things are still, that's when you might think, is this animated? But once it moves, you're like, oh yeah, it's definitely. But even this, when they moved, you're like, is this animated or is this just captured real life? There's a couple of them because they all have different names. I think there's only 8 in this season.
That's it. Yeah, it's a short season.
I think probably the one compared to 18 in the first season, the one that freaked me out the most was Snow in the Desert. There's an episode, Snow in the Desert.
Yeah, Snow in the Desert.
You're looking at it going, these are actors. This is not. These are actors.
Yeah, Snow in the Desert.
And the only time that you catch it is sometimes when they're speaking, and then once they're speaking, you think that there's something wrong with the mouth. That's about it.
That's it. I did think there were a couple of episodes which were like straight out of, because the automated customer service one, I think, was just straight out of the Terminator. I mean, more or less, you could say it was a Terminator movie, wasn't it? Which I really enjoyed that one. I thought that one was quite fun. That one.
Yep.
So that was good. But and also I quite like the one called Pop Squad, where with the
yes,
that was a pretty cool one.
Yeah,
I didn't mind that. The giant one, that was okay.
I saw somebody who rated because obviously there's 8 episodes, so there's a whole bunch of, you can go online, you can see a whole bunch of articles of people rating all of these things from best to the worst, and they put the giant one as the best one, and I was like, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, because the giant one, I think the giant one is I think, okay, one thing I will say about each one of these stories that they do very, very well is because at the longest one is probably 18 minutes long. And in that time, I think even the ones I do not like, they build a world. They build a very believable world in 18 minutes. And in the economy of storytelling, in the economy of world building, you can see that this world is lived in. And like Pop Squad, as you mentioned, they sketch everything out in about 15 minutes, and you're like, I get this world. I understand what's going on. They do that very, very, very well, and I think that's really good. The Drowned Giant is, so this is all done in voiceover, and someone telling the story about, essentially, in my head, it's kind of like in Lilliput. Imagine if Gulliver.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Imagine if Gulliver in Gulliver's Travels washed up on the shores of Lilliput dead. And then there was a scientist who was talking all about this person who we found and all that kind of stuff. And there's bits where it seems to be trying to get a bit philosophical, but then it sounds a bit sort of like studenty, philosophical,
Yeah.
and I'm like, no, not so much. So yeah. But anyway, Shaun, this
What
is
about the Christmas one? What about the Christmas one?
oh the Christmas one.
Yeah, that was I really enjoyed that.
Okay,
I did enjoy that one. I mean,
Okay,
that's
so the Christmas one, Sharon, it's essentially built around the idea that there's these two kids who are waiting for Santa to come, and so they hear something on the roof of the building, and they're like, oh, and they run downstairs to go see to go see Santa to see whether Santa would take the cookies and the milk and all that, and. Let's say they find Santa, but Santa is not what they were expecting whatsoever. Yeah, and I think the final line of that episode with Santa.
Yeah, I agree.
I think I personally, somebody was complaining that it turns the whole episode into a joke, but I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, I got that one. And then there was the one with the train, wasn't there? The tall grass, which I think was probably taken from a movie. I think there'd been a movie. I may have watched.
I think that idea, because the thing with all of these is that like Sharon. I mean, remember when we reviewed season 1? You mentioned you mentioned the fact that you went through the stories and you realized that they were based on a lot of them were based on short stories by well-known writers like Harlan Ellison and all that.
Oh yes, I saw the writers. Yeah, John Scalzi, I think, appeared a few times.
Yeah. He did a couple, and so this is just people adapting. They're just going and they're adapting short stories by sci-fi writers, mostly by sci-fi writers.
There's a huge sort of world of short story fiction by science fiction writers and fantasy writers in particular. There's a world of it. So and it's a particular for that genre of writing. It's a thing. It is a thing.
Yeah, and I think that's why, and I think the show Love, Death and Robots really taps into that and goes, well, these are like one-off stories. Just make them animated, because then you can represent all these worlds.
Yeah.
So I think that there are some ideas that show up again and again in other forms of sci-fi. So the long grass that you talk about, that's a kind of idea that I think I've seen in other things. I've seen it being done in other things, and it was kind of because I think even in this season, even the things that don't work, because I don't think every episode works. So even the episodes that don't work, I still think that there's things in them that I like. And I think the long grass, I think the animation is really, really good. I think the mood of it is very, very good. I think the ending it ends up not really saying much, but I thought it was a good mood piece.
I agree with you. I thought that was well animated. It was like old Victorian sort of, except obviously it was in America somewhere. But at that Victorian, it was about the train carriages were like really old fashioned. You imagine like. So
it was almost kind of like Strangers on the Train kind of thing.
But I think Snow in the Desert. I think going back to that was a good episode. I enjoyed that.
I think Snow in the Desert was my favorite one of this lot. I mean, all in all, I don't think it was as strong as the first season. I
agree, totally agree. I was just going to say that. Yeah.
I don't think that there's as many, because I remember there's some in the first season that in my head still stand out, and I'm still thinking like, oh my God,
Well, funnily enough, after this, I went back and watched the episode, which is my favourite episode ever, Zima Blue. Absolutely, that is Zima Blue.
I remember you talking about it at the time that you.
I loved it. So I went and watched, after watching these episodes, I thought I'm going to go back and watch Zima Blue, because I think that's just a terrific story.
Yeah.
But so I mean, I enjoyed this. I agree with you totally. It wasn't as good as the first series. I mean. And there were a couple of episodes which I really, really enjoyed. Snow in the Desert, I thought was really, really good. I quite enjoyed Pop Squad.
Yeah.
But I think, was that the one that we thought might have been real acted? I think that's the one that I was thinking, well, you haven't, got the...
Oh, yeah. There's one that has Michael B. Jordan in it.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, it's a little bit of like a man versus robot kind of thing. And I think it's good. It's claustrophobic, but it's a bit meh. It's probably the one that's the most photoreal, where you can watch it and you would swear that this is not animated. There is not a lick of computer graphics in this thing. But it's possibly also story-wise the weakest one. Yeah,
I agree. So on the whole, I still have to give this, I think, because I love the idea and I did like most of them, from a personal point of view, I'll probably give this a 4-star.
Yeah, I think I'll probably give it a 3.
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. So we'll go with 3.5. And now we're going to go back to the cinemas. And Shaun, because Sharon didn't get to make it to the cinemas this week, we blame your nephew. Let him know that. So Shaun, you get to pick another film. And you mentioned Nomadland earlier.
Nomadland, yeah.
Seeing as this thing won the Best Picture Oscar, I guess we should talk about it. So, go.
Yeah. Okay, so this was the first one I went to see, winning the Best Picture Oscar. Basically, it's a story of a lady. She's been working at this gypsum plant for 30 years with her husband, and that her husband's died. The plant has closed down. So she decides she's going to buy this van and sort of basically live in this van, go traveling. And she meets up with some other that say, oh, every so often we meet up in the Arizona desert. So if you want to come along there. And so they head off. She heads off to the Arizona desert, meets all these other people, and I'm pretty certain they must be real people that do this. There's some because they didn't seem like actors. And then they say, okay, well, we'll get work here, we'll get work there, and that's just basically what they do. So they meet up, have parties and all that, and then slowly one moves away, and they all start to take off, and they go their different ways. And then they meet up again. So this is basically her, as I say, she's been with her husband for so long. And I couldn't really tell whether she was happily married or if she was just with him because, that's the way things are. But obviously, that's basically the film. She goes back, she gets a job. Over the Christmas holidays, she gets a job at an Amazon factory. So she goes there so she can get some money. Because when obviously they got to do maintenance and things, haven't they? And she picks up all these tips along the way about different techniques, different where you can go,
or how to live off the land, that kind of thing.
And I have to say, I was like, oh my goodness me! It was almost because she goes. One of the places she goes to is South Dakota. She goes to the Badlands National Park of South Dakota, and I swear, oh my goodness me, the area she's walking on, I have got a photo, and it must have been exactly in that spot. And then she goes at this place to War Drug. And I've got a picture of, in fact, I got the photo of that. I was trying to dig it out. I was going through photos so I could sort of show you. And it's got War Drug. And it's almost like I'm like, oh, that's my photo. That's my photo. It's like a photo. I've been there. So it's like, oh my goodness me. So I got really, really excited about this film. And there's an actor called David Strahern, and he sort of becomes interested in her. She's not so much interested in him. But anyway, I like him, and he's been in a few things. I think he was in Memphis Belle and a couple of other films.
He was in Good Night and Good Luck.
Good Night,
that's
Luck,
it. That's it. That's exactly. Yeah. That's why I would have. So I liked him, and I thought the acting was really, really good. As I say, I think you could tell. It's really strange. The real characters, the ones that must actually do it for real, you could sort of tell were, it was like they're sat around having a campfire, and she makes friends with one of these another lady, and something that they sort of towards the end they're all sat around and they're all sort of toasting her, and they say, oh, I throw this rock in the fire for. So yeah, I mean, I thoroughly really, really enjoyed this movie. It had a lot going for it. It was well acted. It was quite believable. There was some terrific scenery, as I say, and that was like when you see films and there's places you've been, it's like oh yeah, I mean,
oh yeah, I do get that. Yeah,
and
like whenever the Isle of Wight shows up in a film, like
yeah. So yeah, I do really think this probably deserved award. So whether Best Picture Oscar, I don't know, but it definitely deserved. It definitely deserves to be up there with a good film. It's there's not action, there's not fighting, there's not nothing like that, but it's just a really, really good, interesting film. Really, quite well. It is. It's obviously it's for real. So and it's well acted.
All right, because so I would say a couple of things from that. I think the director Chloe Zhao, the scenery and the vistas, that is one of her things. I think that she loves getting those, and she is directing a Marvel movie, she's directing The Eternals with Angelina Jolie, and they released their first teaser trailer this week, and it has shots. What?
Is this a movie or a TV series?
No, it's a movie. It's a movie. The Eternals, and it has all these scenes. Oh, it has some of those scenes where you just see vistas, and you're kind of like, ooh, that looks nice. I think that's a real signature for her. And number two, it seems to be that Frances McDormand, an attribute of her characters when she wins an Oscar is that there's a man who has an interest in her that she has no interest in.
Yeah,
because the same thing happened. The same thing happened in 3 Billboards after every series.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that is yeah, that's very, very. Yeah,
but from what I understand, that's very her. That it's very kind of like, you know, her, like, I don't need a man or anything like that. So Shaun, if you're going to give us a number of stars, what would you give us for this?
I would give this one a 4-star. Give this for me. I think it's a 4-star. Deserved, well deserved.
All right, cool. 4 stars. 4 stars for Nomadland. I mean, I've got it on Disney Plus downstairs, so I might not actually see this at this.
Well, that's okay. That's fair enough. That's fair enough.
Which might ruin the vistas and everything like that. But I think seeing as I can only watch one thing a week, I'm having to become a bit more selective.
Yeah, I mean, no, Toes, watch them by all means. It'd be good because it'd be nice to get your opinions on them. Yeah. And as I say, I mean, the cinema, it was in the number 6 anyway, so it wasn't
which is one of the smaller screens.
Yeah, one of the
it's one of the little ones, isn't it, at the end?
Yeah. So
let's put it this way: they're not putting Godzilla VS Kong on number 6.
No.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, those shots of South Dakota were just like, yeah, so that's me. I swear that's exactly the shot I've got of where I am. Yeah.
Okay, but sure, also. At the moment, obviously, we were talking earlier about Anna Bishop Yara, who is like the person who interacts with us the most on social media. Once they get into our Facebook page, follows us on YouTube and everything like that. And Drac, I've totally forgotten what I was about to say. Oh no, yeah, that was it. And she was talking about there was one of her previous shows where she was talking about essentially, Sharon, let me put it this way. You have somebody who totally agrees with you when it comes to Mads Mikkelsen.
Oh, yeah. I'm not alone, obviously.
Yes. It was kind of like I can't remember which one it was that we did, and she was like, "Oh yeah, I totally agree with Sharon about Mads Mikkelsen," and she was like, "Oh, have you seen Arctic? He was in that. That was really good." And so I went back and I was like, I remembered because obviously I
reviewed Arctic.
Yeah, you reviewed Arctic, and I remember that. So I went back and I actually posted the link to the Arctic show to her so she could listen to it, and she came back with. She obviously listened to it and came back and went, I totally agree with Sharon's review. So Sharon, so yeah, you have somebody who agrees with you about Mads Mikkelsen, who agrees with your review about a Mads Mikkelsen movie. Hang on, my video's gone off, but I'm still here.
It's still there.
Yeah, so you have someone who agrees with you about Mads Mikkelsen and about your views about Mads Mikkelsen movies and all that. So, well done with that. But the thing is that it also struck me that in that show that we reviewed Arctic in, Shaun wasn't actually on that show because Shaun was in Thailand backpacking around the place. So when I hear that, I hear you talking about Nomadland and you're talking about Nomadland and everything, like I'm like, Shaun, there must be a bit of you that thinks that this would be like almost your ideal life.
Yes. Oh yeah. Yes. Seriously. And believe it or not, I've actually been looking at small camper vans. I really have, yeah. I mean, and I was thinking, what I think I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to spend the winters. I thought if I got a camper van and I could leave it on my mum's drive over the winter, so I'd only pay like 6 months road tax, and then shoot off to somewhere warm for the winters, and then come back, and then I'll have that to just go around. So yeah, I mean, yeah, watch this space.
You can imagine that we're going to end up with a documentary. It's just a cinema documentary. It's Shaun's Nomadland.
That's it. Yep. Yeah, I could do that. I so could do that. I could do that.
I can imagine. I could imagine that there's a lot of stuff in this that would just be like right up your alley. All right, and now, so you said what, a 4-star for that, right?
4-star for this one, yeah.
All right, cool. And now we get onto our final film this week. And this is something I saw on Netflix, and it's called The Mitchells versus the Machines. Now, this is a documentary. No, it's an animated film. It's an animated film these guys didn't direct it, but they were producers, Phil Lord and Chris Miller, who did Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which is arguably, I mean, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse went straight into my top 3 Spider-Man movies of all time. It is just so inventive with the animation and all that. And you can see that there is some of the, well, they didn't direct that, they guided that one as well. But you can see some of that sort of like crazy, anarchic, we're going to use animation but in a different way spirit is in this film. But it's extremely satirical. And you have this family called the Mitchells. And in this family, you have the dad, who is kind of like Shaun's dream life. He wants to live out it. He's like a woodsman, and he's like, oh, kids, let's go outside. It's gonna be great and all that kind of stuff. But then you have his kids. He has 2 kids, a daughter, Katie, and a son whose name I can't remember. And he's the kind of person who comes back home and he worries and he complains that everybody's always on their phones. And he has this scene where he's like, okay, let's try this thing. Everyone put your phones down. We're going to try and make 1 minute. No, I think it's even 10 seconds of family eye contact. And they all try and just look at each other and they're like, I can't do it. They're also, and and in this whole thing, he has a fractious relationship with his daughter. His daughter is about to get up and she's about to leave to go to university, and he's kind of like, but each time he comes in, he speaks to her, almost the wrong thing comes out of his mouth, and it turns into a fight. And the mom is like, "Why don't you guys just sort this thing out?" And as is the younger son. And the family dynamic is sketched out quite nicely and quite believably. So it's quite believable that, okay, this is a family, this is the whole thing that goes on. And what happens, the machines of the title, is because there's this character who's kind of like a Steve Jobs, and he has one of these expos, you know, like whenever they release a new iPhone and there's this big song and dance about it, he's at one of these, and he's about to introduce the world to the new he has a personal assistant that he invented called Pal, which is on all these phones around the world. This technology company runs all the technology around the world, and he sort of says, and he's actually having a conversation with the personal assistant like it's a person. Then he goes on stage and he goes, "We brought you Pal. Pal was amazing, and now." But it's like, Pal, I grew up with her. I think she's great. I think she's brilliant. But now Pal is obsolete. And he throws his phone away. And he says, and now we're going to show you the new age of personal assistant. And it's all these robots. So it's essentially your phone is no longer a phone, but it's actually like a robot that does stuff, cooks for you, does all this sort of stuff. And he's like, but then, and he says, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking that if these robots are going to rise up, they're going to take over us. But I've built in a kill switch, which means that they'll never be able to do that. And as he says that, the robots rise up and take over. Because it turns out that Pal, who is the smart assistant that he created, did not take too kindly to being tossed aside and has decided that humans are stupid and humans don't know how to use technology, and humans need to be dealt with. There's the AI, the Pal, is voiced by Olivia Colman, and it's just funny. There's a scene where he essentially goes to her. He's like, "No, don't worry. Humans will fight up. We will fight against you." He's like, "Really? No, you guys can't live without me. Watch what happens when I turn off the Wi-Fi." And she turns off the Wi-Fi all over the world, and everything descends into chaos. and there's scenes, and there are set pieces in this film that are just hilarious. There's a bit where they go to a shopping mall, and sorry, camera's gone off again. I'll just keep talking. There's a scene where they go to a shopping mall, and all of the appliances in this shopping mall rise up against them. And that whole scene is one of the most energetic. It's one of the most energetic action sequences I have seen in like the last year. It is really, really well done. I think the voice cast with Danny McBride, Abby Jacobson, Susan Sarandon, I think that they're all great. I think also, obviously, a particular mention for Olivia Colman as Pal. I thought this film was funny. I thought it was great. I thought it was satirical. I thought it said a lot of stuff about technology and the way we use technology. Like, there's a bit where Pal says, it's like, "Look, I gave you limitless knowledge. I made it possible for you to speak to your friends real time, face to face, around the world. And what did you do with me?" And it's essentially technology complaining, saying, I gave you unlimited power and you used me to order pizzas. And so I think this is a really good film. And Sharon, I know you have your thing against animation.
Yeah.
If you only see one animated movie this year, I would say go see this, because I think it's quite funny. I think the whole woodsman versus technology thing, it could have been a bit cliche, but it's a lot more nuanced. It's a lot more nuanced about it because of the way it's done. So I really, really like this, and I would give it a 4 out of 5.
Yeah, cool.
All right, cool. So if we now sit down, now this is the point of the show where we usually collate up the scores and we say who it is who has won this week. And I'm just going to put this thing and say, yeah, whatever. Yeah, Cinema won.
Hey, it's back. We're back.
Cinema's back. Cinema won. Yeah. So, yes, let's hope that Cinema can continue doing this whole thing, and let's hope that all the bosses are listening to us so that they keep Cinema around and don't take it away from us. We will not take too kindly to that. And let's hope that all those people out there, please wear masks. Please don't be idiots. Please don't do something stupid.
Yeah, don't ruin it again for us.
Yeah, that means that the COVID cases go up. We know. Okay, first and foremost, so that people don't die, but also so we can keep cinema around. We want to keep cinema around. Right, I think that's it for us this week. And all that's left to say is a goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.
And a goodbye from me.
We will see you next week when we will all manage probably to have seen something in the cinema.
Yes.
Probably Cruella, but we'll see.
Cruella, yeah.
A Quiet Place 2 has having a cinema special screening, so that's a possibility.
Okay, Sharon. Yeah, definitely.
All right, cool.
Quiet Place 2.
Right,
and we've got My Name Is Nobody coming up as well, I think.
Oh, Nobody, the Bob.
Nobody,
The Bob Odenkirk, John Wick film.
Yeah. I think that would pretty much speaks for itself, doesn't it?
Yes, I think so.
Watch that one.
Okay, cool. Until then, goodbye.